and click. This is question and answer time. So we lost another great bodybuilder, 50 years old, passed away. So I imagine a lot, like through the years, everybody's freaking out. Let's do this. Question and answer time. Is everybody taking care of their health to the best of their ability? And what that means is not just exercising and training, but actually checking on the inside, making sure everything is running smoothly. And then taking the recommendations and actually doing something with it. So that's one of the big issues that I see. A lot of people, they get the information on how to fix their health, and they still put it off. They still don't do the things that are necessary for them to live that kind of lifestyle. So if you guys didn't know, we lost a great bodybuilder, young, 50-year-old, too young. And I don't know all the scenario from it, except from what I'm told online. But again, like everybody's going to say, it is because of what they were doing, which is sad. So what do we got here? I want to go questions and answers about HRT today, doing blood work, and what kind of questions you have about peptides, especially. But if you are on HRT, what kind of questions do you guys have about HRT? Okay, any kind of TRT, HRT, anything like that. If you guys got questions, make sure to ask. I'm bringing on an expert in this, somebody that you guys can really talk to and get into depth with, and get your questions answered today. Hi, guys. Hey, TikTok. Yeah, they got it over to the team. I will double check right now. Okay, yeah, I think they're just getting it with the team and everything, getting it all set up.
You got a couple to start with?
Yeah.
Do you ever use flax seeds? I heard they lower testosterone. How do you feel about that?
I love flaxseed oil and flaxseed. I have a scoop in my shake in the morning, and I'll do a powder later in the day in a little mix of my protein with water, kind of like a cereal or a soup. I love flaxseed oils. Flaxseed. It brings up my testosterone. Yeah. And it's funny because he says, yeah, it raises mine.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, and I've noticed that through years. Keep those questions coming, because I've been in this game a while, but I am in no way someone that I would say is close to being an expert. But I do have friends that are experts and really know their stuff. So I'm going to bring in my boy Johnny to talk to you guys today. And this is a special kind of a day, because this is the start of something big. But let's bring John on to answer any of these kind of questions. All right.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Superstar. Hello, my friend.
How you doing, man? Doing good. Glad to be here with you.
I love having you here today. Thank you so much for hanging out and doing this with me today.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you bringing me on here,
So
about some of these different things.
I texted you, I think it was last night or this morning. And I said, man, we lost another one in the health and fitness world. Again, young, 49, 50 years old. Always, I mean, no matter what age, it's heart-wrenching, but that's such a young age, much younger than me. And, the speculation is because he's a bodybuilder, it's the one aspect. And so I know that a lot of people out there that I know that people I work with, clients-wise, they start freaking out. Hey, am I doing everything right? And I always go back to, well, the first step is making sure you're healthy under the hood.
Right.
And that's getting your blood work done. Can you go into what your thought is about someone like this passing away?
Sure. So it's obviously a tragedy to lose anybody, especially 50 years old, Gustavo Badell. And, this guy was, has had a pretty good career through his lifetime, right? And usually, if you hit 50, you might be pretty good to go as a bodybuilder if you've lasted that long and everything's healthy underneath the hood and you've been checking and monitoring these things. But if you're not, right, and different things could happen, and there's a lot of speculation about, what happened with him as far as stroke or whatever it may be. This could happen possibly if hemoglobin, hematocrit, red blood cell count was very high and the blood was thick and, he didn't donate or anything like that. It could turn to sludge. It could get, move slowly through the body and that can cause DVTs, blood clots, and strokes.
Can you just, for these layman people, jump back a little bit? So the blood would thicken because of the possibility of being on HRT or something.
Yeah.
You should take out blood, donate blood, and keep it I guess you would say, documented and find out what you're at on a frequent basis. And so that could have been something that led to this.
It could have been, and I always call it a maintenance thing. If you're on any sort of TRT, HRT dose, when you start presenting androgens inside the body, these things could and might thicken the hemoglobin, hematocrit, and red blood cell count may be going up. And that's why I said that's where the problems start to happen. And that's where, the whole thing about testosterone and causing heart attacks and strokes and all these things, it comes from that and not monitored properly. If you're getting monitored properly, somebody should be checking this from time to time. They should be telling you some of the different things that you might be looking for as red flags. Because usually if somebody's going to have a stroke, heart attack, there's usually some sort of flag that happens beforehand, right? And it's a trigger. And at that point, if you can recognize it, you can get help faster. But a lot of people just don't. They, it's just bothering me, whatever it is. I've lost a lot of friends like that, So it's something that if somebody is going to take performance enhancing drugs, steroids, HRT, TRT, you definitely need to monitor complete blood cell counts. And that's what monitors hemoglobin, hematocrit, red blood cell count, white blood cell count, and all these different things. Can
I ask you this then, before you keep going?
Sure.
The frequency, what is a recommendation from you? And maybe it's even less time in between, like if the person is 35 compared to 55.
Yep.
What is the time that they should make sure that they donate blood or pull blood if they are on HRT? And then how often, besides that, should they check their blood work? Is it every year? Is it every 6 months? What is your recommendation?
So
if it's an age thing or just everybody's somewhat the same.
It really doesn't come down to an age thing, because I've seen younger people or older people be more sensitive to, to the thickening and red blood cell count going high. And red blood cell count can go high from a number of different things like sleep apnea and all these different things too as well. So that's just one aspect. But hemoglobin, hematocrit, and red blood cell count, those that trifecta there, you want to make sure you keep in check. Now, as far as age, like I said, it doesn't really matter. Now, what really does matter is basically, how many androgens are you taking? So if somebody is, doing these things and cycles and all these different things, they might be presenting a lot of more androgens in their system. So they might have to donate blood sooner than somebody else. Now, if somebody's on a TRT, HRT dose, we recommend every 6 months at least to do a donation. And we call that a maintenance, an HRT maintenance. You want a maintenance, you got to pull that plasma out of the blood, because it's not just thinning the blood. A lot of people think, oh, well, I have thick blood, I'm going to take something to thin it out, right? Vasodilate. And at that point, when they do that, it'll thin the blood out for a small period of time, but you need to get the plasma out. And that's the whole point of doing the donation. And usually a donation, they do 500 milliliters.
Everybody, I got to stop him right now, because you see, I said he was intelligent and ahead of the game, and the man, geez Louise, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So, that's the thing I would say. I would say, if you're doing this, you should be monitored correctly. If you're going to somewhere and you're getting testosterone, hormone replacement therapy, and it's not from Titan, make sure they're monitoring you. It's doing you a disservice if they're not. So you want to definitely do blood testing and full blood test panels at least every 6 months. Some people want to do them every 3 months, right? And if there's a problem or issue, then you might want to retest sooner than that. So if you do your full panel 6 months and there's an issue like hemoglobin, hematocrit, red blood cell count are high, if you're with us at Titan and it's on that level, we will slow down your regimen and make you get the donations before we fulfill your regimen again, because we don't want you having any negative side effects like that. And that could be a terminal one. So, it's really important just to make sure you're getting monitored because it's your health. You can go somewhere and tell somebody something and they can give you everything you want, but is that really going to be healthy for you? And are you getting monitored properly throughout this process? It's all about longevity, right? And Mike is a great example of this, right? I mean, he's killing it at his age. I don't know anybody, 20-year-olds can't even keep up to this guy. So, there's a lot to learn from him too, as well. And things that he's been doing in his lifestyle. So I take that in and soak that up too as well. I have some knowledge, but there's a hell of a lot more knowledge with him because he's been around a lot longer than me. So, I appreciate that,
No, absolute. And again, you and I, we've had talks where we've talked about lifestyle for people and not just surviving, but obviously the enhancement and living your full potential. And that's where I think the HRT and TRT for a lot of people at not just my age, at a lot of different ages, really help people. And it goes back to what you said first. You don't do anything until the blood test is done. Then you move from there. Right. But a lot of people are jumping into a couple different things. I know that, I guess, with the HRT and stuff, there's people that are mixing in Cialis quite a bit. Now, I'm just curious on this because I think of Cialis for something else.
Of course.
They're mixing this in. And from the little stuff I understand of this, it's to help with blood pressure. Am I correct on this?
Yeah. So, originally, sildenafil, which is Viagra, tadalafil, which is Cialis, these drugs were made for blood pressure. Okay. And when they started doing the testing on the patients,
really? Blood pressure? No,
these were blood pressure medications. Originally, that's what they were going to be marketed for and brought to research for. Okay. But when this research was coming through, they started seeing, the side effect is vasodilation and blood to the extremities, and this is giving the patients erections. There's not an erection medication out there that's working for males at that point in time. That's why Viagra hit it off so well. And Cialis can do a couple different things too. It can lower BPH. So, when we talk about that, and blood pressure, and then the erection portion. But, the reason why these guys are taking these things along with testosterone replacement therapy is for the pump. They want the vasodilation. It does give them a better pump. Some guys, they overdo it on how much they're taking, and some people get negative side effects. Like sildenafil causes headaches in some percentage of men. So at that point they can't take it, or they get real bad headache, or they get real congested. You might want to lower your dose because at that point a smaller dose might work, and you don't need the big 200 milligrams or 100 milligrams these guys are taking every time. It's just. But I do think
I'm be honest. I'm too scared to take that before going to the gym for a pump.
Yeah,
my workout's turning into something else. It'd be awkward.
I wouldn't do it. Listen, when you talk about vasodilators and really good ones, we're talking about L-citrulline, right, and arginine. And mixing those two together. In an injectable version we have, that's where you can do spot inject it. I know in your stuff you can do it too, but those are really good vasodilators. I think that people really need to focus in on if they're worried about a pump. And I think it's more natural to the body, the amino acids and stuff like as far as that goes, than taking Cialis on daily. You can. They legitimately make the protocol for everyday use at 5 milligrams for Cialis for a patient, for whether it's BPH or the erection issue or whatever they want to do for daily maintenance. So there's no harm to it. I don't think, but I think there's better ways you can do it. But I think that people want to go the extreme out some cases, and they want to take that, which, like you said, I don't really want to go to the gym, get pumped and have an erection. And guys are looking like, hey, are you looking at me?
I would
that's
say,
not my cup of tea.
I would freak them out. Yeah, I'm looking at you, buddy. When you turn me on, holy cow. Yeah, I definitely don't want Mona to hear about this protocol, but I don't want to steer the kids away from these 30-year-olds going in there. They love the pumps. Do as you will, but it's an interesting thing that it lowers the blood pressure, which I know a lot of guys have issues with, especially in the health and fitness world, that are size guys, big boys. They got blood pressure issues, and so I worry about that kind of stuff.
Of course,
and I worry about them doing HRT with high blood pressure.
Yeah.
What is the protocol, if you don't mind me asking, at Titan Medical on what you do about somebody that maybe has high blood pressure?
Sure. So we make sure they get it controlled. We won't put a patient in danger, right? Even if they want it, they it's my body. I don't care. We're not going to do it. So we're going to make sure if you need to go to a primary care or a specialist, then you're going to do that first, right? Before you come through us, because we're going to make sure you're good and healthy as far as getting the blood pressure. Because if it's uncontrolled, man, it's like a ticking time bomb, right? And over time, that's going to damage the kidneys and all these other things that come along with it. So we want to make sure that it's taken care of, whether they go to primary care, they take care of it like that, specialist, or they're already on medications that are taking care of it already when they come to us. You know, and there's a lot of patients on 10 milligrams of lisinopril, and that's okay, right? But when we start getting into heavier doses and heavier medications, we need to make sure that you're going to be healthy to continue with a regimen or go on a regimen. So, you know, if somebody's had open heart surgery and stuff like that, they might not fall into a candidate, right? Because we want to check with their specialist, and their specialists on the same page with us and working with us for their health, making sure, hey, listen, this is going to be healthy for him. I'm monitoring this side of his heart. You guys are monitoring that side of it. And we're getting a complete picture and going forward with them.
Jeffrey, remember the question, you were doing the research, and the YouTubes was saying, hey, if your blood pressure is good and that's healthy, then you can do as much gear as you want, as long as that is. Can you relay this? I'm going to pull my team in here. He's going to relay something that he's been doing. He does a lot of the research for us here. So here's Jeffrey.
What's up?
You know how all the info now on TikTok, you got all these quick videos.
Can you hear him okay or no?
I can't hear him. I'm sorry.
Okay, hold on one sec.
Yeah. You're going to have to volume down there.
Is it this one? Oh, gotcha.
So basically, I love looking at TikToks and all these stuff about, you know, HRT and TRT peptides. And one of them I saw was some guy, huge following, huge audience, a lot of engagement. And he was saying something along the lines of like, as long as your blood pressure is under control, bump it, get up, do whatever you want, go crazy with it, you know? And me and Mike were talking about that. Like, what are the implications of that? What's really what's behind that?
I mean, when you talk about blood pressure, yes, the blood pressure is key to keep under control. When blood pressure is off, there's going to be some things that are going to start happening negatively to your body, right? But you know, I mean, usually when people's blood pressure is pretty good, it's usually when they're younger and they start getting older and their blood pressure doesn't start to be as good, right? And at that point, younger guys can abuse themselves more than older guys. It is a fact, right? We don't bounce back. You can go back to the drinking if you go drinking. If you weren't drinking in your 20s and you recover, it was a lot quicker than now when you're 40 or 50, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, with that, the abuse comes. The wear and tear over the years come too as well. And then when we start talking about doing any amount of gear you want or doing anything you want, I mean, come on, what are the implications of that? I mean,
so am I correct then? So then my point, Jeffrey's point is correct. Is like, that's such a wrong information.
That dude,
because if you, it's like a simple quote that I do is, in my 50s, sunblock in my 50s is a beautiful thing because I wore it in my 20s. And so at 50s, now I can go, okay, I got still healthy skin because of what I did in my 20s. Right. And that approach to me would go to the same thing. If these kids are going, well, I'm young, my blood pressure is fine, so I can get tons of stuff. There's other factors to this besides, sure, you can do it. But I'm just thinking the deterioration you do to your ligaments, to your body itself.
Absolutely.
That may not come out in 10 years, 20 years, but in time it will. Where's the logic here?
I mean, I don't see no logic with what the guy was making as a statement and the disinformation that people are giving out, and especially to younger viewers. You know, TikTok's a younger viewer platform, right? So you're getting a lot of younger kids or younger adults on there, and they're watching this. So if they think it's okay because their buddy or their guru said it on a show, I mean, it's really bad, and it could lead some of these kids down to real bad paths where they could damage their kidneys, their livers. I mean, anything like that as far as that goes. And like you said, right, what you do now, you're going to pay for later, right? You're going to pay one day. You know, you're never going to get away from that. So if you abuse yourself in your 20s all the way through, don't think in your 50s that you're just automatically going to be good to go. The more you take care of yourself now, the more or the less work you're going to have later to take care of yourself to a certain degree. So, you know, with that, I don't see any logic with these guys putting out information like that. If anything, you know, I think they're doing it for the views and all this other garbage. And I think they should be more responsible with the audience that they have.
How old was the person, do you think? Maybe 30s? Visually, I guess.
Visually, maybe 55.
Okay.
Wow.
Factually,
So he might have had an older crowd too.
Okay. So he visually 55, probably was around his 35.
Oh, wow.
So
See?
this goes back to my Cialis statement. I fully understand, and I hate doing that to kids. I understand, and I was that kid. I will beat anybody in a workout. I'll make sure you throw up before me, and if I throw up, I'll still come back and keep. I get it, and I don't want to take that fire and that hunger and that wolf of a mentality away from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But there has to be a controlled rage.
I agree.
There has to be a controlled rage, and then implement it smart. And I think this guy going, oh, guys, yes, factually, maybe that's what they're saying. I don't agree with it, but you can do whatever you want when you're young.
Right.
You can do all the stuff you want. But, you know, I've had 28-year-old friends pass away because of abuse.
Of course.
Don't say that it's only these guys my age that are passing away. It's they can do
it's the younger guys, and that's a scary thing. These guys are really young. They're in their 20s and 30s, and they're dropping dead like that. That's a problem. It really is, you know. And it's a shame because even blood testing out of the way, it's real easy to go do an echocardiogram, and there's a couple other heart tests that next time you come in town, I'm going to take you to one of my. He's a surgeon, basically, cardiovascular surgeon, and does all the advanced surgeries there. And he says there's testing we can do in his office that will tell you exactly where your heart's at, better than echocardiogram almost. So if you can run those two tests, you can really see what's going on. And these aren't hard tests to get done. I mean, so, you know, it's just showing something.
I got to stop you before you keep going. Me and John have been talking a lot, and I have dove so deep in the last 5 years into, if there's a test out there, I've done it, and I've tried to see what's up, and I've tried to see every possibility, because of the fact that I get that I am a father now, an old father. And so I would love to be around for another 20, 30 years. Let's hope to see my son grow. And so I have fun doing these kind of tests and finding out where everything is. And so this is so fun for me to do all these kind of testings. And I did do a blood test with Titan Medical, and it will be 4 weeks ago. And I'm doing another one tomorrow. And then I'll be speaking with one of their doctors to go over my labs. But I love finding things and then fixing it. And this is like my lifting. If I find a weakness, I want that small little weakness fixed. And it's the same thing about the markers.
Absolutely.
So I love it. And I'm holding you to that. I will do this heart test.
We're going to do it for sure. 100%.
I love that. For you guys at home, let's take a moment here for some real questions from you guys.
Ooh.
Do you want to do the early wheat germ, folic acids, anything like that? Yeah, let's see what John's take on that is.
Boom. From Top Success, Mike, do you ever use flax seeds? I heard they lower testosterone. How do you feel about that?
What do you think, Johnny?
So I don't think they lower testosterone. I know a lot of people use flaxseed oil too as a supplement, but I don't think it's going to lower testosterone. And if it's going to lower testosterone, it's not going to be to the amount that you're going to notice per se, right? A couple points, but it's not going to take you down a couple 100 points, right? But you know, I think flaxseed oil can have a benefit for some patients out there, you know, and so I don't think that there's a negative side effect to that.
Now, he wasn't on earlier, and we've never discussed that topic, and that was the same thing. I've done it for a while, and I love it, and I find
it's good for you. I know my dad does it every day.
I'm even more so, and it feels like it boosts me. So,
yeah,
not as much as Cialis, but
no, maybe not as much as that, but that's okay.
Go for another one, Jeffrey.
Starter one, because you hear this one a lot. It's always about the age.
Yeah.
So Patrick goes, "What is a good age for starting TRT?"
Oh, that's a great question.
It's a great question. Good question. You know, so as far as that goes for starting TRT, there's really no right age. Okay. Now, let me just give you a couple examples down the road, both males and female side of it. So I'm gonna give my wife the example as a female. 16 years old, she has one of the most advanced cases of endometriosis in the country. They ran every kind of test on her. They did multiple laparoscopies. She needed an anti-estrogen. So at that point, she needed to block the estrogen because the estrogen was growing at so rapid rates, it would fuel the endometriosis inside and go to her different vital organs per se too, and latch onto these different things. So that's one on the female side. On the guy side, so when I say that there's no real right age, because you would say that 30
Were you
years
jumping
old,
over to guys before you go to guys? Also, I know women have such a small amount of testosterone, but there's still an important part to it.
100%.
Bone density. Isn't there a huge issue with women that have such low testosterone with bone density?
Osteoporosis, low bone density, low libido, low energy, all these different things that guys get the positive effect from testosterone, females do too. The only difference is how much each one needs. And obviously a female is a lot lower than a male. It is a masculine hormone, but they have this masculine hormone, just like we have estrogen in our body, right? Which is a female dominant hormone. But we have a little bit where they have much more than us. It's just all about balancing those hormones and optimizing them. And everything needs to be in harmonic balance. It's not just introducing one hormone, because they start going into other hormones, right? And aromatizing, like testosterone, aromatizing to estrogen. You want to make sure that you know these pathways and you're monitoring these pathways too as well. So, for females, obviously testosterone has been a game changer for so many different females out there. And a lot of females are lower deficient. And that age group, like I said, can range anywhere. Now, should somebody 21 years old probably take testosterone? Probably not, right? And I know there's people that are younger that have abused, whether it's SARMs, and crashes their levels, or steroids of some sort. And at that point, they're at a chopping block where now they didn't reboot back to where they used to be. And they never did a blood test to even see where their baseline was at, where you should probably start there. And a lot of guys don't. But now, back in the day, I would say, 10, 15, 20 years ago, there wasn't places like us where you could go and get a blood test.
Right.
You had to go into your general practitioner, and he's going to give you the up and down stare and why you want to do this. And I'm not running these tests. And they still do it today. So, at that point, there's more resources out there. But, somebody that's 25 years old and has low testosterone, if they keep continuing on, they're going to lose at least 1% of testosterone every single year. And that depends on where they're at right at that point. They could be at 387, they could be at 400, and it starts lowering and lowering and lowering. And at that point, their quality of life is nothing, right? Yeah. At 25 years old, you should be a young buck stud, rocking and rolling, doing what you need to do, and setting up your life. Yeah. And it doesn't happen for a lot of these people out there. And a lot of people don't even know they have low testosterone, and they're just covering up the symptoms, whether it's energy drinks and because they have no energy and they don't feel like they've woken up refreshed and they've had 10 hours of sleep, a lot more than I would have. Right. Or, cognitive function in their body and metabolism. I mean, there's so many different things that go along with this. So it's something that we really need to look at. And like you said, the first step is to really blood test and see what it is so you can make an educated decision about what's going on instead of guessing and playing Frankenstein with your body.
I love that you said that. And at later times, I absolutely loved today's discussion, just getting on here with getting some good information for everybody out there. And again, if they want to reach out to you and the company, sure. Titan Medical, let's put down the post here, and we'll also put it in the caption of the YouTube video. And so for everybody at Instagram and TikTok and everything like that, make sure to go on over there and follow John himself, and then also the team, Titan Medical. These guys are really I got to go out and yeah. and see some friends, Robert Irvine, you guys, Big Drew, Monstrous Drew, not Big Drew, and just got to see the flow of the business and the level you guys have taken this to. So I highly recommend. It's a big endorsement from me to you guys go out there and touch base with them and touch base. And ask questions, though. Ask questions. Feel free to ask questions.
Please.
But not to me, to this guy. I mean, I'll give you the best advice I can, but at the end of the day, the best answers should only be asked after the fact that you got your blood work done and we know what's going on.
Absolutely.
And again,
it also applies to women, right?
Yes, it does apply to women. As Mona walks in and the whole house shakes.
Let's make sure that we're not.
What's up, Mona?
Hi.
That's right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love it.
So
I love
girls,
Can we see
Girls
that?
rule too. Our wives rule.
He wants to see
Our
that
girls
bicep.
rule.
Yeah, look at that. Woo! Why
Woo!
Louise.
See? That's what I'm talking about.
yesterday. But yeah, but us women, we could also use and utilize all the knowledge you guys have. Oh my gosh, there's so much that I have to learn. I'm so
We've
excited.
got so much for you guys, and it's going to be awesome. And there's just more stuff coming too. It's just, you know, as we advance, it's like anything else, like technology, even medicine, therapies are advancing, you know, so there's more cutting edge things that are coming about that are hopefully going to be game changers for anti-aging, longevity, and, you know, improving quality of life. That's what it's all about.
I would like to set this up for next week if you have time on
Sure.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Just because you are Titan Medical, Titan Tuesday. It
Yeah.
just seems like a ring to me.
Yeah, I love it.
I would like to go into depth on a couple things, and it is the discussion about, I know that HRT companies have used HGH,
Mhm.
is highly recommended and stuff like that, but also what it does to your body and to carbohydrates. And then they
Mhm.
start pulling in secondary things. And your take on the new world of peptides
Mhm.
and what is available, and then how you guys deal with setting the person up on the right thing for that sleep, that quality, that growth,
Right.
IGF recovery.
Yeah.
That's
I think
what I'm
this-
interested in.
It's a huge thing, and especially like you said earlier, that we're in a whole new world now. It's we so understand that sleep, and if you truly want to have a great life, how
Mhm.
important it is. And it's not if you get 8 hours, but it's the quality of those 8 hours and what is your
Absolutely.
body doing. And
That's
I think
that REM sleep.
something we put up today was, it's not that you're consistent. It's if you're consistently doing it right is what we would like.
Right.
And so, yes, I know you get 7 and 8 hours of sleep at night, but is it quality sleep? Is your body doing what it needs to do? And I'd really like to go into depth with you and your team
Sure.
on this.
Absolutely. Great topic.
Yeah, the pros and cons. I've been in this industry since the 80s, and I've just heard nightmare stories about HGH.
Yeah. It's something we don't prescribe here. We don't prescribe for patients. And there's reasons why, and we'll go over that.
We'll go into that. Again, thank you. I know that today's discussion was because we lost another a beautiful soul that worked their craft and their artwork as a bodybuilder and made his name known because of his artwork.
Mhm.
And we passed much too young. And again,
Absolutely.
tomorrow's promised to no one, but let's do the very best we can to make sure we're doing all we can to be here and try to look like that.
Yeah, look like that for sure. I mean, Teresa, look like them, right?
This jacked girl right here.
Oh man,
John, thank you again. Is there any more questions to finish out here? A good finisher? I know Instagram is very quiet here, and so is TikTok.
I'm 29. I've never had blood tested.
Oh, here we go.
Closest thing I've done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it, Mo.
The closest thing I've done is taking my blood pressure at the local drugstore, but I never had my blood tested.
Okay.
So
What's your recommendation for a 29-year-old?
29-year-old, get the blood test done. Run the blood test. If that's the only thing you've done, you've only run a blood pressure at a local drugstore. I hope that came out okay. And make sure that blood pressure cuff was correctly done as far as calibrating too, because some of those things are off. So you want to make sure.
Do you mind if I hold you for 5 more minutes? Because this
No.
just brought up a whole scenario.
No problem.
So he's 29. Now, I know to most people that are on here, they go, wow, that's such a young
Yeah.
age.
Mhm.
Why would he concern himself with that?
Mhm.
And then I got to thinking about, my mind was blown when we decided to say, we're going to have a child. And we stay with me on this. And we went through the process of making sure my body is good and everything's firing well. And then her body is just as well, if not better, because she's going to be the incubator for this little creature, wolf child. But it was interesting to find out about eggs and how fast those things deteriorate
It's true.
for a woman.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is something most women
I didn't know.
and in their late
women don't.
20s, early 30s should get their eggs and freeze them.
Absolutely.
Especially if they got a deadbeat boyfriend that's kind of hanging around for 5 or 10 years and then
Yep.
never gives them a kid and gets married.
Yeah.
They're right out of their
Why is that?
prime years,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So the reason why I say that is I didn't realize this fit woman's eggs were not the prime. And it was 20 years ago that it was. And so it takes me to this 29-year-old. Check your family history
Mhm.
for all of you.
Mhm.
Find out what's good and bad about your family history.
Mhm.
And this kind of helps. You take it further than what I'm taking. And I'm sorry, I know I went down a rabbit hole there, but it's a very, age is so, go, please.
It
You know, as far as age goes, you know, and as far as females and eggs and stuff like that, obviously, that's what they say. The biological clock is ticking, right? Because it's ticking. Now, women are having children a lot older than they've ever had before, right? So, you know, and it's harder for a woman the older they get, the harder it is on their body, right? Whether it's recovering back or getting through the pregnancy, where they have to go to bed rest or whatever it
That's
is.
a different subject itself, right?
But you know, even guys, as far as we go, as long as we're producing sperm mobility and we have enough volume, we're pretty much good to go the rest of our lives, right? And so women really have to really look in this and say, hey, listen, do I want to do this? Some women want careers first, they want to do that, and then they want the kids afterwards. But you have to plan for that. Make sure you can have a partner, because if not, you're going to be stuck and you're going to get, somebody else's sperm that you don't know, right?
Yeah.
But
the 29-year-old here said that he went to get his blood pressure done, and that was the reason why he went to get his blood pressure. Right, he felt off. So
Is that so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if you went to get your blood pressure done and you felt off, like you felt sick or whatever that may be, just by taking your blood pressure, that doesn't mean that that solves the problem. I think that what would solve the problem is the blood work, where you could see everything at all the levels. That's going to tell you actually what is wrong.
Right.
Because you might the blood pressure might not be wrong, so it might be right, but something else is wrong, and you're like, oh, my blood pressure is good, I'm going home, and you don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, just heads up on that. Like if you feel off, it doesn't cost much to go and get your blood work done, but at least you could go to sleep peacefully and say, you know what, I feel okay, I'm healthy, or whatever. If something is wrong, you have time to actually fix it.
Yeah.
So
I think it's key.
I'm out. I gotta go get
go get. Thanks for being on.
But 29 years old. I mean, you definitely run a blood test, especially if you're feeling off, right? And you can do low T tests on our website or the Adams test and look down. And if those symptoms are there, right, if you're checking the boxes, then you're like, all right, I need to go get a blood test, or I can get a blood test done and see what's going on. And then at least you'll have a baseline. And like I said, always keep a copy, create a folder. Now you have a whole trend if you need to. For years, months, however much blood testing you do, you can always look back at it and not guess, oh, what was this or that. Or if something does happen, now you can take this into your doctor and they have the whole picture of what's went on from this date to this date and can look down and see if there's anything trending in there, and that might help them out, diagnose you with if there is a problem, right? That's the best thing I could possibly say.
I love it.
A lot of people don't, but
I love it. Guys, make sure that you check your family history, all right? Also, it's a good thing to do.
yeah, absolutely.
How like normal testosterone range versus a higher free testosterone?
So if your testosterone is, again, in a middle range compared to your free testosterone is high,
You want your free test higher than normal.
I see what you're saying. So a question here from the crew here is, if your testosterone's good, it's a good number, right? Let's say 500-600, maybe, if that's a decent number for somebody. But the free testosterone is high compared to low, because that really is that's the key that starts the engine, is it not?
Yeah. So basically, like, your total is your reservoir, and your free is what you're utilizing the body. So that is the free testosterone that it's unbound and you're utilizing. So usually, if a patient has a somewhat score, let's say 600 on their total, but let's say their free is through the roof, then they're going to feel good, right? And they're going to have that free testosterone running. Now, if their total is high, like let's say 800 or 900, right? That's really good. But they have a low free, they're going to have the symptoms of low T, and they're going to be like, well, I have low T. And then you test them. And there's some places out there that they run this smoke and mirrors game where they say, oh, we're going to give you a full in-depth blood test for $150. But then you start looking at the testing, and it's not apples to apples to what we do. So some places will only run a total testosterone on patients, and they don't even run the free. But that is something you need to look at, both aspects of it, because one goes along with the other and correlates with other things like SHBG. So sexual hemoglobin binding globulin, which I'm running on you this time, so you'll get to see this on your blood test. It's something new. But at that point, if you have a low free, then usually the SHBG is real high. If you have a low SHBG, usually your free testosterone is real high. It's because the SHBG is bound to your testosterone. At that point, it's not free and it's not utilizing. So
Locking it down.
yeah, you definitely want both numbers to be good, but your free testosterone is what you're utilizing. So, but if it doesn't have a lot to pull from, it might not be able to utilize, and you might not feel the best either. So
I have a client that went in and got blood work done, and he was over 1,000. And on this test, it was between 300 to 900. So he was above. He was 1,000. He's 52 years old.
Yeah.
A natty, and he was like so hyped about it. He's like, "Look at me! Aha! I'm at 1,000." And I looked at his free testosterone, and it was tanked. It was nothing. And I'm like, all right, this is great. And I love that we're here, and it's because of your lifestyle and you eat healthy and train, but you're not utilizing it.
Right.
And so I was so like, you got to turn that engine on, kid.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. And
there's another medication that does that. So if you have, and we don't like to do it with people that have great total testosterone levels. It might work out it lowers it in the end. But danazol is what you give a patient that has low free testosterone, and it works on the first capsule.
Boom.
And a lot of guys get erections right off the bat when they take it the first day because their free testosterone goes up that high. It jumps the number. So there are patients out there that go on testosterone replacement, hormone replacement therapy, and their free does not come up. It stays bound. So with that, if they're on testosterone, we'll give them the danazol along with it. I mean, off to the races, above, right at the range, top.
I mean, I should have known that is possible, but it just seems like if you raise it from an HRT standpoint, that it would automatically make that. But nope.
Most of the time, 99% of the time, it does. But there are the 1% cases out there. And that's why, when we're doing personalized regimens for patients and not mass regimens, it's because everybody's different. Yeah, a good mass could take maybe one drug and all the same dose, but different people do different things when it comes to certain things like this. And you have to be personalized in the regimen to make sure that you're satisfying everything that needs to be satisfied.
We got another question right here.
Let me pull this one up. It was basically, the question was, does finasteride interfere with testosterone absorption?
Ooh. All right. You want to get this one? This one I have personal experience with too as well, right? Okay. All right. So finasteride. Finasteride is the drug of choice when it comes to hair loss, right? All the doctors and all that, right? Finasteride is a male castration drug. Okay. And let me tell you why. And I've took this, so I know exactly the symptom. And I couldn't believe it. But basically when you take it, right, it's supposed to help you keep the hair, whether you've been losing it or you've had a hair transplant. That's exactly what they put you on, 1 milligram to 5 milligrams. And by the research, it doesn't matter in between those doses. It does the exact same. So when you take it orally, all right, you're going to notice, you're fine, right? But it will interfere with free testosterone levels. That's the one thing it will lower. It will lower DHT, dihydrotestosterone. So dihydrotestosterone has been given a bad name because high DHT levels, hair loss, whether it's girls, whether it's guys. But you want your DHT to be optimal because that helps along with your testosterone levels. So it lowers it. At that point, what happens is you lose libido. You lose the thought of sex, right? So for me, me and Shreese have, and of course, every day or every night, whatever it is. And it's been 15 years. So, God bless. But there was a time in between the 4 weeks when I was taking this medication that I didn't even notice it, wasn't having sex, and wasn't even thinking about it. She could be around in the most sexuous lingerie, whatever I like. And I'm looking at a magazine or TV and not even caring. And that's just not like me. So she started saying to me after 3 weeks, and I'm like, maybe you're right. And, I stopped taking the drug and it finally came back. But the doctors told me back at that point in time that if I took testosterone replacement therapy, that I should have no hinder on my libido or effects or anything like that. I definitely filled a hinder to everything that it said it was going to do. Now, this affects a good percentage of people out there, but some people aren't affected by it. So it's a case-by-case scenario. When you use finasteride, if you want to use finasteride, and we have a hair foam that has finasteride, minoxidil, and lantrapost in it. So finasteride to keep your hair, minoxidil to help grow the hair and keep it, and the lantrapost is to make it thicker. The lantrapost is the cousin of latisse. Latisse is what the girls will put on their eyebrows to thicken them up and make them longer.
Right.
So in a hair foam, so if you apply this hair foam and it gets absorbed to the top, it's not as bad as taking the pill. But I mean, that's there's other things out there for hair growth too as well. But finasteride is the top one that is most prescribed out there, but it sees the most negative side effects for patients unless you use a topical version of it.
They're real good, Jeff.
Yeah.
So you use the topical, it'll stay on and you can utilize it. You have to keep utilizing the topical.
Aside from the topical, what if what if you want to take finasteride so that you don't lose your hair, but you also don't want it to have those negative effects? Is there something else we can add in the mix that'll counter the counter?
See, that's the thing. Like, I have pretty much everything at my disposal. So, with me, I'm going to have everything there. So at that point, I couldn't find anything that was taking me past the finish line. Not to say there might not be something like that, but lowering DHT is what's causing the effect of you, one, keeping your hair, and then two, giving you the negative side effect. So it's kind of like there's some people out there like me. Listen, I've been on TRT for 11 years now. Okay. And you know what? If I lost my hair, I'd still be on TRT and I'd be okay with it. That's how much I feel about it. Now there's other people out there say, hell no, I ain't losing my hair. I don't care if it don't work down low. I want to look like this. That's a personal choice. Now, most people, if they stay within the normal, regular hormone ranges, right, of testosterone, they usually never come across the hair loss effect. It's people that go super, super high doses or go over and they're taking things on and mega things. Then they will experience a lot faster. Now, genetic. So if your genetics has it, you're predisposed to it. This could happen even if you don't take testosterone. You're just going to go through it, and there's male pattern baldness in your family, and it happens. Females that take, some of the bodybuilders that take testosterone high ranges, you see them losing their hair. And that's because they might have had somebody in their family that had it, and this has expedited that result. So, it's something that you really got to look at. Now, there's some different things out there that I've seen, like PRP. You really want to keep your hair and you want the most natural way, PRP to the head. That's going to be your best route effect without any negative side effects in libido, bedroom. You take TRT, HRT, and have all the benefits of it. That's really the best one.
Man, so let's next week we're going to go over peptides and IGF and HGH. The following week, let's go over PRP and talk about that, because I know where you guys are going and crushing. And guys, thanks for hanging out today, and thanks for doing this.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on here, man. I
love this. You have a plethora of knowledge.
I appreciate it. So do you, man. So that it's awesome to be here, man. It definitely is.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you again for doing this. I'll talk to you.
All right. Later, guys.
What a beast. What a beast. I absolutely love. So hopefully that answered a lot of you guys' questions. And again, if you do this, feel free to send me questions and I'll hold those and I'll supply those to John so he can answer those at later times. That way we also don't bog him down with hours and hours on here, which I could keep him on here forever. He's a plethora of knowledge, and this team behind me has tons and tons of questions about this, enhancing their body in full potential. So that's it. I will see you guys later. Thanks again for hanging out.